Today it's time for a best of 3 series of professional StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Terran versus Protoss, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Pillars of Gold. Now, right away, our Protoss player wasn't doing anything. I didn't see anything coming up there on the production tab. He decides to go for the pylon at 12 supply. We'll talk about the implications of that in just a little bit, because let's get started by introducing the both of them. Because spawning here in the top right hand corner of the map and playing with the blue Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have none other than ByuN. Now, ByuN, certainly a channel favorite. I've noticed that whenever I post a video featuring this man, the video views just go through the roof, and for very good reason, because he's been playing some very, very fun StarCraft 2. Now, real quick, in case you're unfamiliar, ByuN, he's an old world champion of StarCraft 2. He recently returned to the pro gaming scene after completing his mandatory military service, and once again, he is dominating. Now, one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are really enjoying ByuN is because of the fact that he plays a very fun playstyle to watch. I mean, he focuses a lot on his micro, and he's very good at just controlling his units and squeezing the maximum amount of juice out of his Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. His opponent actually kind of well known for doing the same thing, actually. It's always a little bit, hard to say who's got the best micro in the world, but I think at the very least at some point in time, at multiple occasions in the past, we could all safely say that this Protoss player had the best micro in the game, period. And I'm still very impressed with the value he manages to get out of all of his units. Playing here with the red Protoss probes, likewise also from South Korea, we have none other than PartinG. Alrighty, now I like this. So ByuN recently, that's what he's doing in this particular game as well, he has been skipping the Reaper scouts. So right here, he scouts with an SCV to confirm the timing right there of the Nexus on the low ground. Now, I like this from PartinG, because PartinG is already playing the opponent. When you go for the 12th pylon, everything is gonna come out ever so slightly faster. Shouldn't really matter too much if you're playing a ladder game somewhere on the lower league, somewhere on the lower leagues rather, but the thing is, this Adept, I mean, he's chrono boosting it as well. This Adept is going to show up quite a bit quicker on the other side of the map than this Protoss player is usually going to be able to. Let's see how this is going to play out. So ByuN, I mean, he skipped the Reaper Scout. He's been very fond of that recently, and I don't really know exactly if I agree. I generally speaking seem to, I mean, it works well, but I don't really like it too much if your opponent decides to abuse it, and that seems to be exactly what PartinG is doing here in this particular case. So this Adept, it's going to show up like, I don't know, 10 seconds earlier than it might normally do. I don't really know exactly what the timing is, but it's something along those lines. So look at this. He's going to find that SCV that's building the command center on the low ground, and you can say goodbye to that guy because there's only Martin the Marine over here, right? So that means that the command center won't finish, and if Terran isn't careful here, he's going to hit a supply block. Now, already, nice little bit of control over here. Martin can't actually win there against Andrew the Adept. Okay, I'm going to stop naming units now, though. He can't actually win in a one-on-one battle, but he does have range, obviously, and there's a little bit of a cooldown. Additional Marines, though, spawn here eventually as well, with the reactor finishing up on the barracks. One of the Marines falls, but there's now the Stalker that got added into the mix as well. Nice control here already between both of these. Now, even though eventually all of these Protoss units will probably get thrown away, right? They will all be forced out of the natural expansion. This base has already been delayed. Now, look at how important this is. At that point, right as it was finished, ByuN was already sitting at his maximum supply cap. So it was already sitting at 31 supply. If that SCV would have gotten sniped as well, and I think that was possible actually, would have been a disaster. Now, ooh, speaking of disasters, there you go. Nice control there by ByuN. He targets right there the one Stalker that just joined the fray. And even though, obviously, PartinG managed to split it off as well, every single gateway unit gets one shot. Well, I think it's every single gateway unit anyway. All of the early game gateway units anyway get all one shot by the Widowmine. Already, though, the Medevac is out. So ByuN is going to be able to get these beloved units wherever he likes. He's going to be sending them across the map, unsurprisingly. Let's have a look, though, at the follow-up right here. So PartinG is going to go for the Blink Stalker upgrade. Can't say I'm too surprised. This is one of the things that he's obviously very well known for. Super good at getting those units in his opponent's face. Now, how much damage can this do, though, right? So even though we've had a bit of a trade here, and even though there was an attempt to deal significant amounts of damage, I think that ByuN recovered really nicely. The Widowmine in here is very annoying, especially since the Observer went across the map. Observer is going to have to come back, or he's going to have to get another one here in just a little bit. Now, one probe gets sacrificed there. Nice control by PartinG. And the units once again pick up and get on out of there. Raven coming up here as well for ByuN. I'm a big fan of the Raven early on, as I've been I've been raving about the Raven. Wait, I've been raving about the Raven recently. It's a weird tongue twister. There's at the same time, by the way, also now a Warp Prism going across, and the medevac is going into the main, it seems. But I like the Raven a lot, especially when you can get yourself, you know, that energy accumulated early on. It's very powerful. One Hellion just snuck into the natural expansion over here. At the same time, there's a medevac going up into the main base of the Protoss player. Same time, though, the Warp Prism could get some damage done, but I think that the PartinG is going to be forced indeed to warp in a couple of units here at home. Once again, a Widowmine in here. Oh, nice control there. Blinks at the last possible moment, and therefore the connection just disappears. It's one of the top 10 things that science can't explain. Alright, so PartinG is going to continue warping in right now on the other side of the map. Let's see how this plays out. There's one supply depot over here with a hat. Sniping that is actually very annoying. Now, there is a siege tank over there in the back. Alright, he's got to be very careful, though. It seems a little bit redundant to go for both a Prism and, you know, a Blink upgrade, because they kind of achieve the same thing. Ooh, Observer, Observer. Okay, Observer does get sniped. Right now, it becomes a bit more of a gamble. PartinG can obviously still get the high ground vision to blink the units into the main base of the opponent, but he doesn't really know exactly where these units are at. So he decides to blink forward, snipes the tank, but obviously that's a... You know, that's a risky move, right? You never really know exactly where those units that were previously attacking your Observer are going to be right now. Now, good pickup micro over here. Very, very nice control on these Stalkers. At the same time, obviously, these guys are microing multiple battles at once. The biggest part about this for the Terran player is that he's forcing warp-ins here at home. But, you know what? Getting the medevac there for free and a couple of those Marines as well is nothing to complain about. At the same time, PartinG commits once again to fighting the main base of his opponent. Now, the siege tank count is looking pretty good still, though. Those units can shell away at a very, very long distance. He's got to be careful that he doesn't accidentally give all of those tanks up. A third one is going to be joining in as well. And as that siege tank count grows, it's going to be more and more difficult here for the Protoss player to commit to those big blinks into the opponent's main. We also see the Stimpack upgrade about, I would say, like 70% or so of the way done at this point. Ooh, blinks up once again, actually, and gets the tank as it spawns. Nice move. SCVs are pulled away right now as well from the mineral line. And this is exactly what I was expecting from this series, man. A micro war. Two masters at micro. Now look at this. Apparently ByuN is feeling confident that he's got this health. Even though he just lost another tank, he's now mixing Marauders here and here. Or he's mixing Marauders in here as well. Another blink into the main base. This is turning into a bit of an all-in right now for PartinG. Normally it's the Protoss player that's expanding ever so slightly quicker than the Terran. And in this case, I mean, I'm already seeing the Terran player adding on a third base. ByuN is looking nice here, right? I really love that siege tank positioning over there in the back. That's just not going to be easy to reach. This can still be over very easily, though, but now there's two tanks here inside of the natural. Blink is on cooldown right now. Oh, I don't know if I like this. The Marines and Marauders come stimming down the ramp. And there it is. Game number 1 goes in favor of the Terran. Alrighty, so game number 2, we find ourselves on Death Aura. Now, I know that some of you might be a little bit newer to the game, and you may be wondering why in the world did Protoss just immediately GG out. The thing is, like I said, right, generally speaking, Protoss players expand a little bit quicker in this matchup. When you know that your opponent already has a third base, he's going to be ahead in upgrades, he's going to be ahead in economy, and he's going to be ahead in army, right? And when you're playing a series of games, and it's not the World Championships, you may as well just not get too caught up in the one game that you're playing right now, because it's probably going to ruin your stamina for the rest of the series, right? So even though that may feel a little bit preemptive if you're newer to the game, it's basically at the highest level not something that you can come back from. Now, obviously, you can keep playing it, but there's only so much mental capacity that every single human has, right? Now, I've noticed, though, that these guys have a lot of stamina. I was actually watching a little bit of Flash's live stream. He was streaming on Africa, actually, and Flash, for those of you unfamiliar, I mean, he is probably the best guy to ever touch a mouse and keyboard. The dude is absolutely ridiculous, in StarCraft 1 especially. But he mentioned that he would have like 1 hour of free time, he would sleep like 8 hours a day, and other than that, he would just practice. So these guys had like, you know, ooh, this is a little bit awkward. The two workers spot each other. But these people have like personal trainers and chefs and everything, right? And basically just spending the entire day just practicing. So I guess that stamina can be built up over time. At the same time, they also grind down their wrists, which is a little bit sad. So there's a lot of scouting here already going on, right? ByuN really doesn't want to get cheesed here in this particular game. These two players have faced off against each other a bunch of times over the last few months. So, yeah. Anyways, there was a little video. The reason why I bring it up is because there was a little video of Flash talking about his wrist injuries and, you know, the problems that he's had over the years with that insane amount of practice. Turns out sitting at a computer and moving your wrists around frantically for the entire day is really not particularly good for your nerves. Anyhow, even though PartinG seemed to want to be a little bit cheeky here in the earlier stages of this game on his opponent's side of the map, on the way home, the pylon is still planted over here. And I guess that this is going to have to be a Stargate, right? Now, it's going to be at a bit of a weird timing, though. Much later than you would normally expect it if you're going to have to deal with this as a Terran player, because normally it's the second pylon that gets proxied and then a Stargate gets attached right as the Cybercore finishes. So this is a bit of an anti-timing. Sometimes that can actually work in the Protoss' favor, even though that makes very little sense. Whenever your build shows up like 30 seconds later, sometimes your opponent is just moving the defensive units out of the position that they were in previously, because if your opponent is going to be good, right, they're not going to show up 30 seconds late, so sometimes it can kind of work in your favor, but this shouldn't be the best Stargate opener right here. Now, pops the SCV into the command center. Every SCV counts. And I think actually that Adept is pretty much dead. Yep. Okay, so Stargate is finishing. He's got to go for the Oracle. Let's see how that's going to play out. So there's a Widow Mine right now in production. The Widow Mine is rallied on top of the refinery. Now, Widow Mines cannot, harvest a whole lot. But what they can do is they can just burrow right over there. Now, this is... There's a little pothole, right? There's a little pothole. And obviously, there's a bit of texture here inside of the main base as well. This is a very difficult position for the Protoss player to actually spot. Normally, it's going to be hidden behind the gas geyser. So he's probably glancing over there. Actually, oh, it's over there right now. I was going to say, I can't even see it anymore right now. Anyways, here's the Oracle coming in. Is PartinG paying attention? That's the real question. ByuN doesn't have a whole lot anymore. How much damage can this one? Oh my god. Oh, he's baiting it. He's baiting it. Yep, and that's what I mean. Just a little bit of green is remaining right now. Excellent defense so far in this game here by ByuN. Phoenix as a follow-up. Now, you guys know how fond I actually am of Phoenixes in this matchup. Really, really like Phoenixes. When controlled well, it seems like Phoenixes pretty much always get value. Plus, they can actually take one of those Widow Mine hits to the face. One of the few Protoss units that seem to be able to do so in the earlier stages of the game. They're actually quite beefy. And one of the things that I really like about them is that they seem to force the macro game. So generally speaking, whenever there's Phoenixes out on the map, Terrans can't really move out very well, because as soon as they do, these Phoenixes are going to move in and they'll fly into the base, pick up like half a dozen SCVs, and then all of a sudden you're in trouble. They can always obviously return back home as well and pick up any siege tanks, right? So I like these Phoenixes because they seem to carry the game towards one of the later stages. Now, ooh, is he gonna get the Raven? Wow, nicely done. Yeah, that's huge, getting the Raven here. I mean, once again, I feel like that's PartinG exploiting a weakness here in the early game of ByuN, who plays pretty predictable these days. Already, we see the third Nexus now being acquired at the 5-minute mark, and then also a Robotics Bay as a follow-up already. So usually with Phoenixes, I mean, Terrans will always want to get a whole bunch of these Marines, right? But Phoenixes buy time to get yourself a bunch of Colossi out as well. So ByuN could certainly go for a move out right now, and it might actually be the best move. It's just that it's very difficult for him to know everything that's going on right now, right? So he's scouting around here with the Hellion. Oh, yeah, and that one had like no hit points at all. So even though it's just a couple of Zealots without charge, he doesn't know too much here about his Protoss opponent. A Colossus is already being chrono boosted out. Additional Phoenixes are still being added on. It's only a handful of Phoenixes though, so there's only going to be 4 here in total. I actually like that amount. You don't want to make too many either, because if you get caught up with like 20 Phoenixes, all of a sudden you can't do anything anymore. I don't know exactly what the sweet spot is, but I think it's probably somewhere between like 4 and 6. If you add on any more than that, they seem to really fall off pretty badly in battle. Now this is a gamble though. ByuN has decided to lift up a medevac, put a bunch of Marines inside of it, and now he's crossing his fingers hoping that these Phoenixes aren't gonna find them. It's a little sad for them. Good spot right over here though by PartinG. He sees that these units are moving out with this observer here that's currently in surveillance mode. Extended thermal lens about halfway done. We see the Twilight Council and the Forge now finishing up as well. Now this is a scary push. There's an observer over here as well. So the observer should be able to spot right now what's going on, so PartinG... Oh, well, he needs to go back, though. Oh, he's... Okay, I was gonna say, he decides to recall him. I think he needs to try and intercept his medevac. Colossus walks up the cliff. He's like, what's up, boys? Bzz, 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 bzz. Force the lift up. Haha. Beautiful play here by PartinG. Really, really nice stuff. Extended thermal lens, though, still not done. That's the ranged upgrade for these Colossi. Or Colossus, I guess. It's just singular for now. Second one is going to be popping out here very soon. And I think that this is pretty much defended. Yeah. Nice game here so far by PartinG. In the meantime, though, ByuN has got his third CC about 3/4 of the way done. He's adding on quite a few Marauders here as well. He's got the Stimpak upgrade and the Combat Shield and the +1 infantry weapons done. So these Marines and Marauders do not mess around. Third Colossus, though, coming up. I like this build, actually, from PartinG. Yeah. I mean, maybe you don't need to proxy the Stargate necessarily. Considering, though, that he lost that Oracle basically for free, he actually created a pretty good opportunity here for himself. PartinG a little bit indecisive, though. So, he's got multiple armies here. Multiple hit squads, I suppose. Already the fourth Nexus is being acquired. Phoenixes, once again, are just trying to pick up whatever they can here. He's not really even trying... Yeah, okay, so he's... Oh, nice control. Did you see that? Oh, nice. Yeah, he doesn't really care too much anymore about these units, but... I mean, just trying to get some value, huh? Oh, the micro battles. I love it. This is what I mean, though. Look at this, right? They still have some energy remaining, so they go back home right now. These medevacs are never going to be in a very good position. Raven got picked off. 3 of those medevacs got picked off as well. And that's only at the cost of a handful of Phoenixes. Now, okay, maybe that's not ideal. Yeah, I'm going to go with that not being ideal. Either way, Phoenixes lose their value as the game progresses. And I really don't mind it too much. Once Terran gets up to like 100 army supply or so, so currently we're at 83, those Phoenixes really don't do much anymore in the actual battles. But I mean, they have bought a lot of time to get the Colossi out. Stalkers are going to have their blink upgrade very soon as well, and there's no way that that army will achieve anything. Alright, he's finally going to find the Stargate. Yeah, maybe he can get a supply block out of that. Not quite, but close to it. Alright, so what exactly do you do right now if you're a Terran player, right? So you can see ByuN is marching around the map. He's just happily macroing up. I think he's mostly got his units out on the map in the same way that PartinG likes to have his Stalkers out in the middle of the map. If his opponent just happens to come by here, he can quickly stim and pick off a bunch of units for free. Right? There's no real value in having all these units just clumped up over at your third base. If you can kind of keep control of where your opponent is at, you don't really need to necessarily do that. You might be able to get some value here as the game progresses. Yeah. It's risky, though, because if you're not paying attention, you might just get blinked on. But I guess if you're fast enough, it's all good. Now we see 8 pylons going up. Alright. PartinG done being supply blocked. He's going to be able to max out here over the next couple of minutes very easily. Maybe a little bit too many pylons, though, but it's all good. It's like making 17 overlords at once. We see that every once in a while. Not really from Terrans and Protoss, though, but ooh. ByuN decides to load up a lot of units into the medevacs. Okay, I was going to say, that may have been a misclick. But here we go. PartinG is ready to go for the first big push. This is a scary amount of Protoss, man. These Colossi are getting an insane amount of damage done. So they have a lot of range. They outrange pretty much everything. There's only a handful of Vikings right now in the air. Decent force fields here as well. Really block out a couple of those units. Looks like there's only really 1 Viking remaining, and that one now also got picked off. And so many SCVs end up going down. Is there going to be enough right now for ByuN to break through this? Colossi are not so good against Marauders, but they're pretty freaking fantastic against everything else. Look at their range. Bzz, 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 bzz. One thing as well that I like about the Phoenix opener is that, like, siege tank follow-ups are not super common. So it just makes sense to go from Phoenixes into Colossi for so many reasons, right? Because you buy time, you can get the extended thermal lens, you can safely expand relatively easily as well. Plus, your opponent isn't likely going to have a whole lot of tanks out until later on into the game. So this is so annoying here. Oh my god. More SCVs end up getting burned to death there. Now he's got to be careful though. You don't want to overstay your welcome. This Marine Marauder count is still growing. There's an EMP going off as well. No High Templar anywhere though. I wonder if there's just too much Protoss here, actually, right now. Ah, yeah, like, you gotta be so careful, because at some point, exactly, Like, Terran will capitalize, and they will just have... That's 4 HP right there on the Colossus. They will just have way too much stuff. Oh, there's a Marauder! There's a Marauder! Get him! Oh, nice! But yeah, they will just have too much stuff, and then all of a sudden, you lose all of your big boys. Now, I think it's fine, though, to lose all of the big boys at the cost of 40 SCVs. Maybe PartinG should have backed off there a little while earlier. He's gonna go into Disruptors right now instead, because he knows his opponent already has... you know, a couple of Ghost out, or at the very least there's EMP, right? So High Templar don't make a whole lot of sense. Colossi will probably be countered from here on out since the medevac count is reasonably high. Liberators are coming up here as well. I like the idea of going for Disruptors here. +3 is coming up here too. So Terran is quite heavily ahead here when it comes to the upgrade count. Plus, I mean, that's a lot of money, boys. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Yeah, you know that song? Anyways. Those guys do not mess around. They're very good. The mules, that is. So despite the fact that he just lost pretty much all of his eco, ByuN is at the very least temporarily going to be able to get it back. Already, though. 5th Nexus here is done on the left side of the map. And that's going to be able to... it's going to allow PartinG, rather, to continue fighting here. There's the Blink upgrade coming up for the Dark Templar as well. Even a 6 base, I think, is what's on the menu right now for PartinG. He's really low on gas. You can see gas is really like the main limiting resource. A little bit of a misplay there, but forgivable. So that's usually why we see a lot of Zealots. Alright. Now, don't underestimate PartinG, though. Or, sorry, don't underestimate ByuN here. Like, he's certainly behind. But I've seen him pull rabbits out of hats many times before in the past. He knows right now that there's Disruptors available. He's very good at splitting against those. That's what I mean! Bit very risky though, right? Because you never really know exactly where your opponent is at. But these are not bad fights for the Terran player. Gotta be careful though. Yeah, if you stim that many times, those units are gonna have very little hit points. Gonna have to boost behind this as well. There you go. Boost comes off cooldown and... Well, all of these Terran units will be chased back home. A couple more reinforcing units are showing up right now, too. And actually, you know what? Even though I didn't mind this battle here earlier for the Terran player, right now it's getting to the point where his units have very, very low amounts of health. Disruptors once again decide to roll forward. I guess because of his eco loss, he didn't make a planetary over here at the 4th base, which is going to cost him dearly here with these Protoss units just jumping on top of them. There's the Disruptor once again moving forward. This time around, it does connect with a couple of those units. PartinG is ready to obtain the victory right now, but good pickups there once again by ByuN. Picks up the units, puts them inside of the medevac to try and save them from the Purification Novas. But yeah, there's way too many SCVs going down. And with that, PartinG obtains the victory. Okay, so the final map in this best of 3 series is going to be a Lightshade. Now once again, look at this. PartinG, yep, 12 Pylon. Decides to once again get those structures out really, really quickly. I don't actually know if he did it in game number 2. He did it in game number 1, obviously, but I don't know if he did it in game number 2. Anyways, I couldn't help but notice, by the way, when loading up these replays, that PartinG on this account is sitting in Grandmaster League. So most of the time, by the way, whenever I cast games, the players are going to be either in Grandmaster League or unranked, right? So PartinG was sitting with this account in Grandmaster League, but oddly enough, ByuN, and I've noticed this in previous casts as well, ByuN with this account is sitting in Diamond League. How in the world could he... could he be sitting in Diamond League? Usually, right, players have like a ladder account and then a, well, I guess non-ladder account or a Smurf account or whatever, right? A lot of people also like to play in custom games more so than in ladder games, but it's just kind of funny that ByuN is sitting for some reason in Diamond with this game or with this account. Like imagine you're a Diamond League player, you queue up a match and you happily face off against ByuN. I don't know. MMR is a bit of a meme sometimes, though. I saw some people that are normally in Grandmaster League that apparently got thrown into Bronze 1 with the new season that started a couple days ago. Sometimes there's strange bugs, which is why I never really valued leagues that highly. The real number to look at is MMR. Leagues just, yeah, they don't really mean that much. Especially also, like, you can, for example, right? I think I ended last season at 5.3k MMR, which is in Grandmaster League. However... that is still, like, literally more than 2,000 MMR below someone like Cyril. So, within, like, those, I don't know, couple hundred ranks, there's such an MMR difference. It's actually absurd. Anyhow. The reason why I bring that up is because sometimes people... I noticed on the live stream, right? Where people are like, hey, Lowko, you're in Grandmaster League. Does that mean you're a pro gamer? No, I'm not even remotely close. Once you ever reach, like, Masters 1 or, like, Grandmaster, you actually start thinking about how good those guys at the tippity top of the skill level actually are. I would get absolutely smacked by the top guys. Even though, you know, I'm pretty decent. Anyways, so... let's see what ends up going down here once again in this particular game. Oh, ByuN. All right. ByuN decided to mix it up here a little bit. He decided to go straight into the reactor. Bit of a risky move if you ask me. If this would have been a max specs or something along those lines. I don't know exactly how that would play out, but... here's PartinG. Coming across the map, and now he sees 2 Marines. Now, adepts are still pretty good. They take 3 shots to kill a Marine, so... you know what? The big difference here, though, in this particular game, right, is that ByuN's big supply depot over here on the low ground, it's not gonna... yeah, it's not gonna be delayed. Right, so he's not gonna hit a supply block here at 31, which is huge. Now, ooh, I like this, though. Ooh, PartinG! Oh! He draws the unit all the way to the back here, so the Stalker can pick up a few of them as well. Adept there. Shades forward, sees the reinforcing Marines too, and even though, I mean, this is not so bad here for ByuN in the sense that he got his command center done, he still ended up losing Marines there, basically for free. This time around, straight into the Twilight Council and the Robo facility. So let's see what he decides to go for. Probably Blink, huh? Seems to be what he's fond of. Busy microing right now though, so he doesn't start up the upgrade just yet. There it is. Look at that, guys. Did you see the delay right there on the warp or on the blink upgrade? That shows that these guys are actually human. Either that or they're artificial intelligence. You know, they're pretending to be human. The very last StarCraft event that I went to actually was Home Story Cup 20 over in Germany. A lot of fun. I played a lot of beer pong with PartinG in the last day of the tournament. I can confirm, PartinG is very human. Or maybe that was an imposter. I don't know, man. A little bit sus. Pro gamers pretending to be human. I suggest we kick them out of the airlock. Anyways, let's see. So there's the Raven coming up right now here for ByuN. Unsurprisingly. Like, this is what I mean. He plays a bit boring, right? Like, he's very good at controlling the units after this stage in the game. But ByuN, I mean, he's got a bunch of, like, a bunch of build orders that he really likes. And then he just sticks with them and just plays them over and over and over again. I guess that can be said for most people. But it feels to me that especially Terrans have a lot of different variety in their early game builds. And, well, I guess ByuN just likes a one of them. And he just sticks with that. Not a bad idea, I guess. No. Blink is going to finish up here. Now, this is when you wish you had that Blink upgrade started right away. Because then you could have gotten all of these Hellions for free as well. It is what it is. So Blink is going to finish up here very shortly. Third base hasn't started yet, which is rather late actually. So PartinG once again is definitely looking to get some more damage done here on the other side of the map. Blink straight into the main base. Auto turret does get popped down as well. Siege tank. Okay, gets microed back. Good stuff, but I mean, the Stalkers just walk over there. Blinks on top of another one of the tanks there. That auto turret is putting in work, though. That one Raven actually super valuable right here in the defense. I actually think target firing that one down may be more important than the siege tanks almost, but okay, he's going to be able to get it here eventually. This is where that observer on the high ground is also super useful. And this is great. Like, if you're good with your Blink Stalker micro, you can get a lot of damage in. You just win all your ladder games right here, right now. Unless they're up against top level guys, right? But yeah, this is fantastic. Very, very, very good here for PartinG. Gets so much damage done. Now it's at the cost of this Stalker, but also at a delayed third base. So it's not like it's all you know, rainbows and sunshine. It's not like he can just, you know, go win from here. But 13 SCVs, definitely nothing to scoff at. You can just continue onwards as well, though. Rebuilding that siege tank count is gonna take a little while. There's a third Nexus that did start up right now. He also decided to go into the Robo Bay. So the Robo Bay is gonna allow him to extend his thermal lens. Anyways, he's gonna be able to get that Colossus ranged upgrade. But I think most of this aggression will be shut down here as the game progresses. Stimpback is going to finish... Well, actually, Stimpback is still quite a while done, actually. Okay, never mind. I thought Stimpback was going to finish here a little bit sooner. I wasn't quite paying attention to when he started upgrade, but Stimpback and Combat Shield are still a way off. Splits up the Stalkers right now. Can always recall them out of here if he really needs to. Gets a lot of SCV kills here, man. Look at this. Wow. Not every Stalker blinks across, sadly, but once again, continues onwards over here, too. Excellent control here by PartinG, man. Now imagine if this is against a weaker Terran player. Right? Like, ByuN's very good. There's just not that micro, this is not that micro heavy of an army, I suppose, when you have no Stimpback and all that done yet. When you don't have a whole lot of Medivacs out, it's very difficult to control this army well. 13 Stalkers in total, though, I guess. It's pretty good, but... Yeah, there's no third base this time around here from the Terran player, so if you compare this to what we saw in game number 1, this is very different. I like it a whole lot better here for the Protoss. Alright, so, there's the ranged upgrade for the Colossus coming up. There's the Colossus itself being built as well. Being built? Being warped in? I don't know. Does it get built inside of the Robo facility? Or is facility just like, you know, between quotation marks? It's the proverbial facility. Just to humanize it a little bit more. Okay. I like that prism positioning. But it looked like Terran was ready to go across the map, and then the stupid prism flies in again. Terran's gonna have to go all the way back just to get rid of a few of these zealots. And by the time that he's finally gonna be able to get across, the laser boys over here are ready to shoot at that Terran army at a very significant distance. And obviously then the Stalkers from the earlier game, right, are gonna be super helpful to pick off any units that are desperately trying to, you know, kill those Colossi. It's a very good strategy if you're good at the game. Which is also the reason probably why I didn't play this build whenever I tried to play, macro PvT. I tend to go for the Colossus base openers. Skip the Stalkers and the micro in the early game because it's freaking hard. But yeah, you can see here the value that's possible if you do it really, really well. Now these 3 tanks are stacked on top of each other. You may be wondering why in the world would you do that? Well, they're very good at picking off those Stalkers. So if they can all fire, you know, at the same time, you can kill those Stalkers very quickly. Sadly here though for ByuN, PartinG did not decide to commit in that direction. So, Colossi gets spotted right now, and these Marines are gonna have to run for their lives. When you think about it, right? If a Marine is like, I don't know, like 6 foot or whatever, like 180, these Colossi must be massive. It's like a freaking building with legs. Dude, this may actually just be the game-ending push right here, though. It's a lot of damage that's being done right now by these Protoss units. A couple units inside of the main base, though, come running down this ramp. They're still the siege tanks. Yeah, the siege tanks are getting some damage in. Okay, maybe that was a little bit overly ambitious here by the Protoss. 30 SCVs, though, in total ended up going down, and he still, at the very least, has got all of his big boys available. At this point, since Terran does have a couple of these Medivacs available, it's time to start adding on Vikings. If you can get your Viking count up to like 10, or like 8, you can really start picking off these Colossi relatively easily as well. Now, once again, that's where the Stalkers come in, obviously, but... it's a good situation to be in. It's a very Marauder-heavy army as well, so maybe the Colossi actually aren't even that good anymore. Ghosts are coming up right now, too. Okay. I think it might be time to transition here towards the Disruptors. He needs to start up 2-2, by the way. I guess he's a little bit anxious that he's gonna die here, so he hasn't started up 2-2 yet. Ooh, that armory is super late. Is that why? Oh, he doesn't have an armory yet. Okay. Well, once again, the Zealots are charging forward, and you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be talking about upgrades, but I think that... yeah, because I think that this game may very well just be over. 4th base here gets killed. That was no cancel. PartinG is just warping in more and more units right now. Heavily outplaying ByuN so far in this match, and there it is. GG gets called, and with that, PartinG obtains the victory in this series, 2-1. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed watching this best of 3 series. I upload videos to my YouTube channel Monday through Saturday, at least most of the time. So if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. And today, I also want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for directly supporting the channel. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. and I'll see you once again in the next one.